falling. Got a heavy burden that you're hauling. All in is what you're going like a game of cards. You know that you're determined that you beat the odds. Even though it seems as though they're stacked against you, look into the sky and try to make sense. And could it be so simple like some drops of rain? Can it soothe the soul or even ease the pain? Stops for a moment, then it's back again. Feels like rolling the dice, but it's not a game. Hear those voices in the wind, they have a lot to say. Follow footprints in the sand before they wash away. Trying to find the secrets, but they're locked away.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival live stream. My name is Sunny Huang, and I'm a volunteer programmer who works specifically with the Pacific Showcase. And today I have the honor of moderating today's filmmaker and family Q&A with the director and family in LOIMATA, The Sweetest Tears. To introduce the film, as director Anna Marbuk said, it was an honor to walk beside her friend Lilo Ema Siope as she courageously approached her death and led her family through a profound healing. It's an honor to bring the film beyond the shores of Aotearoa with our LOIMATA Waiano, and it's an honor to bring your film to us in Philadelphia and to any audiences outside of Philadelphia. Your film was a beautiful film, and I'm just really excited, but I'm a little bit nervous since you all are just really cool. But if you all could introduce yourselves, that'd be great.
Kia ora, my name's Anna Marbuk, and I'm the director of LOIMATA, The Sweetest Tears, along with my brother, Jim Marbuk. We produced the film. I'm in New Zealand currently, which we're just very happy that the film's in Philadelphia at the moment, and we just really wish we could be there. It would be so great, but these are not the times of international travel.
Hi, I guess I'll start first. My name is Paul Siope. I'm the oldest in the family. I'm Emma's brother, and it's a privilege to join you here at this time. Thank you, Sam.
And hi, my name is Malaiulu Letarawa Rebecca, and I'm Emma's older sister.
Yeah, I'm also Emma's older sister. My name is Leata Sasofa Lea. I got lots of names. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all.
Malore Suifo Malilangi Mama. They save the best for last. My name is Utaui Queenie Yosefo. And I'm the baby of them all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you here to, I guess, virtual Philadelphia or the virtual world. And we wanted to start with this question. I guess this question is more towards Anna, but I'll expand and add another question. But Anna, we were wondering, how did you first meet Emma? And to her family, what was Emma like growing up?
Okay, so I'll launch into that and I'll leave the growing up question to the family. So I met Lilo Ema. We just call her Emma, really. I met Emma when I was working on the voyaging canoes. There's been a wonderful movement here for a number of years, and Emma was right at the heart of that movement as a great builder of what we call waka, and also a captain. So she was, she was a very esteemed member of that community. Now, I was working in that community with one of the great matua, or the kind of fathers in the Pacific, a man called Hotiroa Barclay Kerr, and Emma was the captain of his voyaging fleet. And so through working together, we became friends through the work. I was working on storytelling projects, and Emma was literally working on the waka and raising the next generation of voyagers. She was a great teacher. And through that time, we became friends, and then that friendship deepened and kind of went beyond just the work. And the more I got to know Emma, the more I realized she had an extraordinary story to tell. And, you know, I can say honestly, we never expected the story would go so deeply in the direction that it did in the film, but we all really feel that that was really where Emma wanted it to go. Her big picture was always around health and healing. And I think she steered what was perhaps initially going to be a story about her as a voyager into a story about how this wonderful family courageously faced the trauma in their life and did it together, and steered by their, unfortunately you're not seeing today, their mother and father, who are just as much a part of the story as the four here and Emma. So that's really how it came gradually. And then there was a point when Emma was very unwell where I just felt very strongly it was time to move. We had to actually start. Otherwise, we were going to lose the incredible capturing of the life of this really important person. I'll leave it to the family to talk about Emma growing up.
Yeah, Emma's the fourth sibling in our family, and I guess as the oldest, I got to see her from a unique perspective in terms of her placement as a sibling, but also her response to her environment and to our family. But she was, being the middle sibling, she was always inquisitive about life. She had a great love for the outdoors, but she was always listening. She was a great listener to stories in our family. There are many stories in our families that were told, and all of us, we love stories. But Emma, I guess, took those stories. She was more of a dreamer and had a great zest for life. But she was also very clear about her not just her placement in the family, but also her individuality in the family, her identity in the family. She was very, very persistent about trying to find that and to explore that and to express that at such a young age. So I recall her as a young child. We would all get short back and sides, that's a haircut, and we'd go over to our uncle's place and we'd sit there on a box, and he'd come out with his scissors and comb, and we would be having haircuts, and she'll be standing there amongst the boys saying, "Give me a haircut, give me a haircut, I need a haircut, uncle." And she persisted every week, or every second week we got these haircuts, until one day my uncle just couldn't deny her, gave her a haircut and cut her pigtails off. And I'll never forget the way she ran. She ran with her arms in the air, laughing, happy, joyful that she got this haircut like a boy. And we all laughed at her, but I mean, she would have been about barely 4 or 5 years of age, with that strong sense of who she was as a person. And that marked my observation as an older sibling, and I sort of watched her be true to herself from that young age all the way through our life. So that's my recollections. My sisters may have different recollections, so jump on in.
She was a very a loving person. She was embracing of anything and everyone that was four-legged, things that were flying. She was in touch with herself. We would go down to the back of our yard, and we had the Tamaki River there, and she'll be the first one in the water, her and Paul. You know, she just loved the water. When our uncle and our dad will pull out the dinghies, the boats to go out fishing, she'll be right in there with them. You know, she's always had a love for the water. When my mum was in the garden doing gardening, you'd never find Lara and I in the garden, but you'd find Emma in the garden. You know, so she was a real earthy person. She was always down to earth, and she had no qualms in telling you what she thought about you as well. She was a very upright person, and at the same time very loving. Yeah.
Yeah, she loved the gazing at the stars and the moon at night time. from a very young age, she would lie out on the ramp out the back of our house and just gaze into the stars and the moon and try and teach our younger siblings, our baby Taui, the queen of Apolima, all about the moon and the stars and the sun as well. And would often say that, if you ever got lost from each other and we were ever apart from each other, just look at the moon. We'll be sharing the same moon, looking at the same moon, so you'll know that you weren't alone in this world. She always was looking out for our future. And I'm not surprised that she took us on this journey through LOIMATA, because she was looking out for us again as a sister, for our well-being as well. Yeah.
She was like a mum, and sometimes quite self-righteous. But she had an awesome sense of humor. Her laugh, oh my gosh. She was she loved children, and she was a healer. And I think this film is about healing, and that's where, she kind of navigated us through that space. So yeah, she was amazing. And we'll stop so you can ask the next question.
It's okay. I enjoy listening to all of you truly bring this woman to life. Through the film, we could get a sense of who Ema was, but I think we could get a sense of what her spirit was like and just how beautiful her soul was. And we could get a sense, we could see how forthright and honest she was, and how she was full of love and grace and poise and care. But your stories about her just helps bring her to life even more. And we were wondering, well, I guess first off, how did you choose your film's name? It's LOIMATA with all capital letters and then sisters in lowercase letters.
Yeah, I think it would be good maybe if one of the family talked about the actual meaning of LOIMATA from Samoan language. So would one of you do that?
Yeah, sure. LOIMATA means tears. That's what LOIMATA means. And there are all kinds of tears, or reasons for tears. For us, in terms of making or bringing this story to life, it was about finding the meaning to our tears. And because of the trauma in our lives, individually and collectively, we've cried a river of tears, if you like. But doing this film enabled us to find a new meaning to our tears. And so we've called those tears the sweetest tears, because they've given us new meaning, in the sense that we could have been shattered and scattered even more as a family, even more fragmented as a family in terms of our children and our grandchildren and our extended families. But for us, it's made us even more closer and more stronger. So the tears we've cried prior, during, and post the making of LOIMATA have indeed been for us now a new experience where they are the sweetest tears. And we still cry them today, and they taste good, really, really good on the surface of our trauma.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, when we typically conceptualize tears, we don't conceptualize them as having a taste or feeling other than sad or happy or tragedy or tragic. But sweet is just a very beautiful way of putting tears and this healing journey. And we also wanted to ask, what was the healing process like? Were you able to heal through the process of filming this film during pre-production, production, and post-production? What was that journey like?
Maybe Leah.
Yeah, right throughout the film, from the very beginning, even before a camera appeared, we had meetings with Ana, and so much dialogue happened before the actual film, taking care of what it was that we wanted to. She was always interested in the care that was wrapped around us. And when we were filming, there were moments where our family was going through, remembering, recalling some major trauma, and there was always space and time. Either we would call it or the film crew would notice it, but most of the time we would sort of know when to go off camera and just embrace each other, cry, regather strength and come back. And the healing process actually started before the film as we realized what we were going into. And then right throughout the process of the film, the healing continued. And to this day, it still continues. All of us had sought different forms of therapy as individuals. This is the first time we went as a collective family. And so that was really interesting too, but it was powerful to be able to sit side by side to your sibling who's gone through their healing process on their own as an individual, and then sit together as a family to inform our parents who never knew, but just to be together. There's a source of power that comes from, and strength that comes from, a family coming together and going through trauma like this. So yeah, the healing continues. I think it's a process that will continue on until we farewell this earth. Yeah.
There was a very it was an interesting for myself and my brother and the crew to be alongside the Siope family, and I say alongside because we weren't like watching them; we were alongside them, and of course we were observing, but we had to do that in relationship. And I found it. What fascinated me was the power of revisiting sites of trauma. And then because of Emma's skill as a navigator, the power of also visiting the sites that could give strength through reconnection with land, with history, with philosophy. And so Emma took a family that seeped in philosophy, but revived it or brought it out beautifully so that they could access it. And visiting those sites were such a, that's why the film really doesn't have interviews. It's very much live action. It's in the moment, because we were experiencing, as it was happening, those reconnections with land, with history, with language and philosophy. And that dimensional approach to healing, I think, was a very strong thing to experience. And I feel that that's what we really worked quite hard to capture in the film, was a very live experience of a family using all of the phenomena available to them and all of the environments and experiences available to them to actually move forward, much like you do when you're sailing across the ocean. You're connected to all the phenomena. You're working with everything. And I think that's what Emma really opened up, was all of those channels. So it wasn't just a psychological experience or a physical experience. It worked on the levels of the spirit, the psyche, the actual tactile experience of connecting with the land. I think that you've spoken about that with me too, Rebecca, quite a bit, eh? Yeah, you're muted. Yeah.
Sorry. What was the question again? I was busy listening to Anna.
Yeah, just how, how that well, you can ask it, Sunny. I've kind of lost it too. I was sort of responding to Emma sort of what Emma did in terms of looking at that healing as a family, how she sort of navigated some of that space.
Yes, and I think the beautiful thing about the whole process is that Emma was very key in knowing all of our individual journeys. And so taking us into those various spaces, and like Anna was talking about, going back and visiting those places and those sites, not only did it become, we had to relive it, but we were also healing at the same time. We had each other, we could feel each other. And that gave us an opportunity to be able to deal with some of the trauma or things that were unspoken or things that took place, and Emma played a real key part in that, because she was walking with us every step of the way. And even now, when things are happening within the next generation, we hear Emma saying, you got to deal with it. You got to talk about it. You have to address it. You have to go into those spaces, And so, yeah, it's still ongoing, like Leah said.
Yeah, there's something really beautiful about being on the soil of your ancestors. And we're a diaspora family, and so going back to the place where our father's placenta is buried, where he was born, and then going back to LOIMATA, because LOIMATA's an actual place as well, and and going back to where Grandma Leata is, like being on the soil that your ancestors have traversed and traveled on, feeling the texture, feeling the water, bathing in the water of them, knowing that their trauma was also on this land and our trauma was there. All of that, I can't even begin to explain the supernatural healing that took place up by where Nana was, by Grandma Leata. It was such a treasured experience. And I know that that was something that Fatty wanted for us, and and like mum and dad as well. Like mum and dad are powerful. They are the reasons why we are and why Fatty was the way she was, such love. It's amazing. But yeah, that was such an experience for all of us to be on the land, the original land of our forefathers. Yeah.
Oh, I have so many questions. Yeah, we have so many questions. Okay. Yeah, we were wondering, in a review said, during filming, Anna says Ema had the pain of cancer in her bones, but she was determined and lived each life until the last minute. She conducted herself with grace and poise. That's where I saw the Waka captain. That's where I saw her ancestors. So everything that you just spoke of, is that how you interpreted her, as a Waka captain? Yeah, we just wanted to delve a little bit more into what that means.
It's funny you asked that question, because there was a moment when Emma's sisters had to sit her down and go, now, Emma, Anna's the Waka captain of the film, but you're the captain of your life. So, make sure you work out, if we're filming, you need to let Anna just kind of run the ship. And she kind of had to really sort of reframe that, because, sometimes she would be, even though Emma was very sick through the making of this, for example, when we went up to the ancestral land called LOIMATA, Emma was machete in hand, smashing her way through the bush, and it was 40-something degrees Celsius, raining, and the camera crew were running after her. So, I'd be going, slow down, just wait for a minute, So there was those kinds of moments that would happen where she just would, be the captain, moving ahead, moving everyone forward. And as a filmmaker, you go, wait for us. But at the same time, you don't want to go, wait for us, because, it's our job to follow. It's our job to be with her. But, I did have to think of camera crews carrying all the equipment and, they were so exhausted in that heat. So, Emma lived and breathed the philosophy of the Waka. That was absolutely integrated in her thinking, which is about that connection with the past and your heritage, that lineage, And also there's a ways of conduct. You know, when you are a waka captain, because you're out at sea, you're in storms, you're always thinking about the individual members of your crew, but you're also thinking about the waka or the boat itself. You know, you have to keep that safe. You have to always look after that. And I saw that as a kind of metaphor in some ways for the family, and her the way she looked at the family as, you know, if the family had to be good and solid, and everything needed to be held well. Even if people were messy or upset or sad, you still had to keep that that space of that family space solid. So that's how I translate it. I'm curious to know how the family felt, because part of the journey of LOIMATA was going into that waka world, which had often been a little separated from the family. Emma went off to sail and left the family, whereas in LOIMATA you see the family really remembering that they're actually a waka family. Their history was a history of waka builders. It's just Emma's the one that picked up the mantle. So yeah, I'm just curious, guys.
Yeah, because when we grew up and went our separate ways because of the trauma and abuse in our lives, we weren't too connected in regards to what each individual was doing with their lives. But the film, in our latter stages of life now, and doing the film, we had to enter Emma's world. And her waka life was a great metaphor conceptually. But to actually do the film and integrate what we thought was metaphoric now became a real experience. So existentially, all of our trauma now, or my trauma, had another dimension in which to be weighed, evaluated, and reinterpreted. And not only to do that for myself, but to do that with my parents, that was such a treasure. And to be able to do that as with my sisters in that space, and to also have the respect of space by our filmmakers to allow us to do that without feeling any level of intrusion was amazing. So I was thinking, when you're asking this question about Emma, I'm thinking Emma is more calculated. She's a smart cookie. She knew that she would be putting me as her older brother in that space. But I guess she would have hypothesized that long before I even went into that space of how that might actually help me. So her as the waka captain, waka builder, yeah, she is the builder of this whole thing. She is the captain of this whole journey. But as already stated, it was an opportunity for us to go somewhere with this, to a better place from which we had been as individuals and as a collective. So, yeah, as the days go on, I appreciate it even more and more. Yeah, sorry.
No, don't apologize. That was lovely. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time left, but I really wish that we had 2 hours. We're just getting started, and then we have to end already. But we can close with this question: will you show this film to your grandchildren and great grandchildren? What do you hope this film will do for your families, future generations, and future generations all over the world? I think. I mean, personally, I know that my family and my community, and I know a lot of communities could use a family and film like yours. And we have so much to learn from you all. But just to reiterate the question, will you show this film to your grandchildren and great grandchildren? What do you hope this film will do for your family's generation and future generations all over the world?
Oh, absolutely. We've already shown it to our children as part of the process before it even was launched into when it first went to the first premiere, and that was in communication with the LOIMATA film crew with Anna. We asked if we could show it to our children so that they could go through the process with us. And then from our children, we showed it to their husbands and wives and spouses because they needed support. And from there, I think some of our grandchildren saw it. But what was that? Yeah, it's sort of pushed us into, we feel a responsibility of sharing this healing process with others. So we've got, we're working on a form of doing that as well. Toi might want to say something to this question as well.
So sorry, I'm just mindful of time. But yeah, because of this film, before Fatty left us, we collectively, together with her, we structured a Tapa Samoainga, which is our own family compass of how we heal, and how we have difficult, courageous conversations about topics that are, you know, taboo in normal society. I can see Anna's on the tip of her seat, so I'm going to let Anna continue. No, okay, yeah. So that's what, yeah. And so, like, it's not a process where we are saying one size fits all, but it is a process that we do want to share with others and allow them to process their stuff, allow them to create their own compasses of healing for themselves. You know, so that's been the biggest gift that LOIMATA has given to us as a family, that we can pass down into generations, and, you know, so that they're not having these courageous conversations when they're almost dead, but they're having it, you know, at the get-go. They're having it as our children come out of us straight away, and the conversation continues. Anyway, that's Queenie signing out.
Yeah, I would just like to end by saying there was a quote saying how Ema, she was a master voyager, she was a wayfinder, but her final journey couldn't be measured in kilometers or in distance. And what I would say is her final journey, her last journey, what could be measured in eternities for what she and you all did together as a family. But thank you all. Thank you to Anna Marbrook for creating this lovely film, and the Siope family for being part of this beautiful journey. And it was so wonderful to chat with you all. Again, I wish that we had 2 hours or more, since there were so many questions that we wanted to ask. But yeah, thank you so much. The film LOIMATA, The Sweetest Tears, is available for to purchase, to rent, until tomorrow, the last day of our festival. And to everyone, we have our Pacific Showcase running every year, and it's growing and expanding every year. And we're excited for what happens next for you all and for the film. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thanks, Sunny.